It's Tuesday, so it is Mailbag Day. What's the way you like to put it? Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday afternoon?
Yes, sir. You got it. I
See
love
it?
that alliteration in my weird
It,
brain. It makes me happy every time. So,
it
good
doesn't roll
morning.
off
Good
the tongue, but
afternoon.
I've got it down now, yeah.
All right. So, before we get
Hello
into
and
it,
welcome to
oh,
the
yeah.
Walk Off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co host in the biz, Adam Mack. And we've got all sorts of your comments and questions to get to. We do appreciate all the interaction. Of course, we come through YouTube through the week's episodes and interviews and that sort of stuff. We also take your questions and comments on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, which, by the way, we are almost at 950 followers on Twitter, which is what I'm at on my personal Twitter account that I have been running for 11 years. So
Wow.
if any of you have not followed the walk off on Twitter and just want to put this nail in the coffin so that I can move past this 11 years of the fact that I personally am not very good at Twitter, but for whatever reason in Blue Jays Twitter, I'm much better. Feel free to give us a follow. You can also do so on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. Of course, Adam runs that one, so he has grabbed a couple comments from that. I know we've got a few DMs this last week, so we'll get to those comments. Patreon?
Yes. Shout out to our Patreon members Joel, Joshua, Jeremy, and Ian. Our Patreon numbers are down this month. I mean, we were up to, I think, 7 or 8 last month. I don't know. We must have lost them when we didn't get the League of Their Own post out in time. So, A League of Their Own is our March movie review. And here
Boy,
we are
we're
on
really
April
late on this,
19th. So, if you're listening to a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday, you got to expect your March movie review in mid-April, right? Of course, that will be up this week. It's recorded. I just have to edit it. I have to do the recast, the remake, and throw some pictures into there. But that will be up this week. This Sunday, we are recording our review of Moneyball with Hey Kami from TikTok. So,
Yeah.
Joel, you know him from TikTok. You know him from every episode of Long Toss at this point. He's seen Moneyball. He claims hundreds of times. I don't know if there's hyperbole there or not, but he's going to go really hard in the paint on the details there and do a lot of the heavy lifting for Scott and I. So that'll be a fun one. And a reminder that now we have started doing behind the scenes content for our Patreon as well. So if you are interested in seeing all the bullshit that Scott and I go through with our sound check and catching up on each other's weekends and all that stupid stuff, that will be up on the Patreon as well starting today. So if you're listening to this and you are subscribed to the Patreon, just go check it out. I think we're 15 minutes or so of just kind of shooting the shit before we went live. So
We do talk a little baseball, but no, it's mostly.
yeah, we basically just talk a little more loosely about what we're about to talk to a little tighter, hopefully, right now. But all right, that's it for the Patreon. $4 a month. Support the show, support us so we can support you better, I guess is the general theory, right? Like, Scott is been doing stand-up comedy how long now? 13, 14
years, yeah.
So you just recorded your first album. Good for you. Scott's a full-time comic. I am a part-time, hoping to be not need a real part-time job anymore comic. So the more you support us on Patreon, the less I have to get a job at Best Buy, which then means we can do more shows like this for everybody.
Yes.
So yeah,
Don't let Adam
my,
get a part-time job, everybody. That's the goal
the
here.
campaign. No part-time job for Adam, so that we don't have to cut back on the content and we can keep doing as many. I mean, if we can get this up to seven shows a week, maybe, who knows? That would be nice.
By the way, we might as well, while we're talking comedy, Adam is headlining the Rec Room here in Calgary. So if you want to come play some games and check out Adam's comedy, that is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
There we go.
There you go.
Little plug.
Morning.
Look at us plugging each other, eh, bud?
Look at us go. All right. Yeah, so there you go. If you're in Calgary, come on by and hear me tell the best jokes that I could possibly come up with on a Wednesday night in a party facility. No, I'm excited for the Rec Room though. because I came up in Red Deer for comedy, and my home comedy club was a bowling alley. So I'm really
Yes.
hoping that I get some like skee ball and some basketball hoop noises in the background while I'm performing tomorrow night. I can't wait. All right, enough of that. Let's get right into the mailbag now.
Okay.
Well, let's start with a poll that we ran on our YouTube page over the weekend. So, which is more this season? And this is a fun race you and I are going to track all season long. But more Vladdy Jr. home runs or Jordan Romano saves? We got 85 votes on that poll, so some
Hey.
good interaction there. 62% in favor of Vladdy Jr. home runs.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right, but I'm always impressed by whenever we, because we kind of ran into this with Jeff Blair yesterday, was when you pose that question to him. I mean, the gut reaction is like, oh, of course, Vladdy, but then there is that like hesitation of like, well, actually, maybe that is going to be a bit close, right? And then
I loved his
inevitably
reaction.
you do lean Vladdy in the end, but like
Yeah.
it is kind of an interesting race, and I think
There's just enough of a wrinkle there that it makes everyone go, huh, well,
yeah,
maybe Romano.
still
And then everyone's
probably
like, well,
Vladdy,
no,
but-
come on, let's not.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Then, speaking of the Jeff Blair interview, we did get lots of positive feedback. I never like going too much into the positive feedback on the mailbag because it just feels, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable.
Self-congratulatory?
Yeah, like, hey, great job. Hey, you guys are getting really good at this. Hey, love the interviews. Anyways, so we see all those comments and we appreciate them, and they always make us smile. They do make our days. We don't really want to turn Monday morning mailbag into the Tuesday afternoon high five contest. But this one made me laugh. So this comes in from Alex Zivkovich. Sorry if I'm butchering the name there. He says, why are we watching Jeff Blair through a dirty beer mug? Oh, yeah.
So for those of you listening on audio, this joke goes right over your head. But yeah, when we talked to Jeff Blair yesterday, he, for whatever reason, had a very foggy, muddy camera on his
Oh, yeah. It was
computer
atrocious.
going, and it was all it. You know what it reminded me of is just like you said, the dirty beer mug, but you know the drinking and driving commercial where they
100%.
constantly they keep putting beer mugs
Yes.
in front of the dash.
Yes, anybody that's watched TV in Canada in the last 20 years knows those commercials. And that's pretty accurate. It was funny because when we first got set up with him before we went live, he was asking, he was worried about like the light behind him and stuff, and he's like, how's this for like a location? I can go downstairs, I can go to a different room. And I didn't know how to politely say like,
It doesn't
the
really
setting
look like
is
it matters,
not
Jeff.
the problem. Like, could you wipe the Vaseline off your camera lens, and and that would be a bigger help. But no, Jeff Blair was great. I mean, radio
My
guy.
favorite
He's
part of
not here
that-
for the
my-
webcam, right?
Yeah, my favorite part of that interview, dude, is when he was like, "All right, I need a hard out at 4:40." So he gave us 35 minutes, and then 15 minutes into talking to us, he was like, "You know what? Don't worry about time. We're good."
Yeah,
So
I got someone to
obviously we
take
got
care
him.
of it.
We got him to enjoy it enough where he was like, "This isn't so bad. These guys aren't idiots. We can talk for an hour." So that was.
Well,
pretty
and I
cool.
don't blame anybody because we've run into that countless
you don't
times.
know.
Our first time talking to someone. I mean, there's a bunch of yahoos out there, right? So I don't blame anybody who's like a professional, legitimate person in sports to be like, I don't really want to commit a full hour to these. This could be painful and whatever. And I
Yes.
think we may not be baseball experts, but we're pretty easy to talk to, and I think good conversationalists. So everybody seems to have a good time eventually. We break them down. All right. This next comment comes in on the Jeff Blair interview. This one's from Ellen. It says, "Oh God, don't trade Jansen." So
I love that is what stood out to her too, because that is what stood out to me when we started talking catching. I mean, there were two pieces that stood out to me when we started talking catching. Number one was the eye-opener one was that he brought up Dan Schulman, and that Schulman truly believes that Moreno is probably going to get a call-up in May, which is far sooner than either you or I had anticipated.
yeah, that shocked me.
Yeah, both of us kind of had him picked as like a July call up or maybe even September, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like give him a full year at AAA or most of the year. But no, I loved hearing that. That stood out. The other thing, like Ellen said, was that Blair brought up, you know, that this injury to Danny Jansen, and he did frame it very well. He's like, you never hope somebody gets injured. However, this injury to Danny Jansen so early on in the season really is going to clear up this catching situation. It's going to show the Jays what they've got in Alejandro Kirk. Is going to showcase him as well, right? Because he is truly one of the bigger trade chips within this organization. He's a sought after catcher, a guy with a big bat. He has improved steadily behind the plate to a point where, you know, even the Jays are starting to be like, maybe this guy. I mean, Blair said yesterday he's probably the best defensive catcher currently available to them. Now, I know that's not saying a lot because of Heineman, and Zach Collins isn't really known as a defensive catcher, but.
Well, so here's the argument that he made in terms of and he's not like arguing like in favor of trading Danny Jansen, right? But the point was at some point this year the Blue Jays do need to make a move to bolster their pitching, whether it's in addition to the starting rotation or something in the bullpen. And the simplest solution there is to trade from where they have an abundance. And any team looking at the Blue Jays, it's obvious that catching depth is our most abundant position, right? So who's going to go? It's not Moreno. Moreno is not being traded, I think, period. He's untouchable at this point until he makes his debut, and then we'll reevaluate maybe, right? But the speculation has always been that it's Kirk whose time may be running out. But the point that Jeff Blair made that I thought was really interesting was getting to see this run of Kirk as the everyday catcher, right? Catching 4 or 5 times a week for the next month with Danny Jansen out. We're going to get to see if he's able to handle it, right? Mm-hmm. If he can handle the duties, if he can handle the extra workload, there's a lot that goes into it. And I guess if he can, then do you trade Jansen? Because with Kirk, you can go Kirk as catcher and you can go Kirk as DH. Right? He says, I don't think anybody wants to see Danny as our DH.
Right? And that's a very valid point.
So just looking forward into the development of this team, whether it comes in May, whether it comes in 2023, at some point Moreno's going to be on this team. And he's going to be on this team soon, right? So when Moreno is getting reps at catcher, right? You could put Kirk at DH. You don't want to see Jansen at DH. So basically, the only question remains to be seen is that what's the defensive drop-off between Jansen at catcher and Kirk at catcher? And that's what we're going to get to see over the next month.
Because Kirk and Jansen are the two catchers on this team that are going to get a lot of interest from other teams. This was one of the things he brought up, right? So hearing that Jansen might be an option to trade really surprised me. I don't think it's a very likely option.
I don't think so either.
We talk about this all the time, Adam, right? Like, it takes time for a catcher to develop in the big leagues. There's so much on that position's plate. They need to learn the defensive side of the things. They need to learn the psychology of catching pitchers, just the ups and downs of the guys they're catching, even just learning the other team's top hitters' tendencies and what you want to use as weapons is massive.
And in terms of what the Jays would get in return for either guy, I do think we would get good value, whether it's Jansen or Kirk. But I think that because Jansen is 5 years ahead in his professional development, the teams that are going to want Jansen are going to be teams who are a contender and want to compete now and need a solid catching option. So if we're getting rid of Jansen, I don't think we get a piece that can add and help our team at the major league level. I think that's mostly a prospect haul coming back. Am I wrong about that?
Well, the one thing about Danny Jansen is he is 26. So if you do view him as your catcher going forward, maybe a team like, what would be a good example? The Cleveland Guardians, the Minnesota Twins, right? The Detroit Tigers. Detroit Tigers not, because they just went out and got Barnhart out of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is like these fringe teams that might still be in a playoff hunt come the July, or I think it's August 2nd trade
Mm-hmm.
deadline, but also still view their window a little bit further down the line. Danny Jansen would be a guy that would fit in. So maybe you would see something like back end pitcher being switched. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Like
and
I
I
don't wish
just
to
I
see
just
Danny
can't
Jansen go
see
anywhere.
I can't see Jansen getting traded just to add a back end of the rotation pitcher.
Yeah. No,
So,
I don't either. So
all right. Is this enough catcher talk? Can we move on? I feel
yes.
like we spent 45 minutes on it on Sunday as well.
Yeah, we could move on.
All right. Speaking of Sunday and long toss, here comes some high fives coming our way from Marcus. So he says, as much as I enjoyed your off-season coverage, this is really your wheelhouse, referring to the 2-hour show we do every Sunday on Long Toss there. Measured and informed discussion of on-field performance. Thumbs up. So, thanks, Marcus. But to
Yeah.
you, Scott, I will say we need to be careful because we're we're setting expectations too high. I think we fluked into some good analysis.
Oh no, we do
That's not
not. We do
sustainable.
not wish people thinking we're experts. Absolutely not. And I know the perfect way to stop people from thinking that is to get into the wins above replacement talk
Oh
again
God,
and trying to figure
yes.
out the equation of how that works, because that'll really put us back down
These
to the
guys are
ground floor.
idiots. It's such a simple formula. What's not to get?
That's such a simple formula. I love that. Yeah.
Oh man, I have an easier time calculating the cosine of a triangle. All right, so moving on now. This one comes in from Discord. Mustard Tiger, who I believe is also a Patreon member, says, "Which player do you think has the most underrated value?" And then in brackets, it's Ross Stripling, right? What do you think, Scott?
It's hard to argue with Ross Stripling. I mean, we had a pretty good chat about him on Sunday on Long Toss as well. And where would this team be without him? Just under the radar contribution for the last 2.5 years since they picked him up. I mean, they gave up very little to get him. He has been able to do that long man role out of the bullpen. He has done the starting rotation. I mean, even just looking at this year with Ryu going on, the IL, and the struggles of some of these back end guys. I mean, to have a guy like Ross Stripling that you can put in and feel pretty good that he's going to give you 5 decent innings. I mean, Ross Stripling is not a top end of the rotation arm by any means. However, he also is a wily guy. He's got 4 solid pitches. You know, he knows how to vary them. He's got experience in the art of pitching. You know, like he's not a thrower, he's a pitcher. There's a lot of things to be said for Ross Stripling. I would probably go with Ross Stripling if I had to pick someone else. Probably Santiago Espinal has been a guy who's, especially in 2022, given a lot of underrated value to this team.
Those are two good choices. I specifically said before we went live that I had come up with 2 names and that I would let you. I gave you the courtesy to go first,
Right, and then I took both your
and
guys.
then you greedily named 2 names. You're just like, I don't care. I'm putting my flag down all over the place. Well, the good news is you didn't pick my first choice. Okay,
Okay,
my first choice,
let it be
also
Tim Meza.
also a
Oh, sorry.
pitcher. We talked with Jeff Blair about Jordan Romano and what is it gonna? Is Jordan Romano elite? Is he able to take that step into the Liam Hendricks category of
Josh
closer
Hader,
this
yes.
year? And Jeff Blair, because I mean, there's a lot of hype for Jordan Romano, especially from the two of us. And Jeff Blair pumped the brakes on that a little bit, gave us a little bit of a pushback, which I appreciated. And the follow up question was, what does it take for Jordan Romano to take that next step? into that upper echelon, in Jeff Blair's opinion. To which he said, well, I don't see Jordan Romano being a guy that can go out and give you an inning and 2/3 at the end of a game, or give you like a 6-out save when needed, right? Maybe he can do that this year.
Which is what made Hader and Hendricks so valuable, right?
Yes,
being able
right.
to.
You need to bring him in halfway through the 8th with runners on, and then go back out for a clean 9th and continue to lock it down, right? Maybe we get to see that from Romano this year. The other point that he made was, he says, look, can Romano be the closer on a World Series winning team? Yes. Can he be the only closer on a World Series winning team? And that's where he had some reservations, right? He goes, if we're giving Jordan Romano the ball in Game 7 to close it out, do I feel good about that? Probably. But would I like to see another arm that I trust in Game 6 so that Romano has the option in Game 7? Yeah, that would be nice. And this is where my underrated value pitcher comes in. And I could see you crossing your fingers at the start of this. Please be. And yeah, it is. It's Tim Meza.
Nice. All right.
I don't know that Tim Meza is necessarily like our lockdown second closer yet. But look, he's a guy that can go out there for an inning and a half.
Yes, he is.
I think more than just a lefty specialist, though he is lefty.
He's definitely not a lefty specialist. His splits are excellent.
So Tim Meza, I don't know what else to say. Like, he's just is, other than maybe Adam Simber, I don't know if there's another guy in the bullpen that I trust handing the game over to late in the game. Like, it's Simber, it's Meza, it's Romano. Those are my three guys. But
great choice, by the way. Love Tim Meza as an under valued member of this team.
All right, thank you. Okay, so moving on. This one comes in from Twitter. Jack and Jill and Jays 69. Hey, gents. Who do you got for guests in the minor leagues coming up? Chad Dallas is killing it in Vancouver this year. He just won Player of the Week in the Northwest League. I first heard about him on the walk-off when he was on the show, so nice work. The Cheddar. Chad Dallas.
The Cheddar. Man, he's looked really good. I loved seeing he won that Player of the Week. That's fantastic. He was putting up some really good starts there. This is his first time, too, in professional ball. I mean, he was a college player when they drafted him last June. Played a little bit with the Dunedin Jays there in the Florida State League. Yeah, very cool to see him progress. And I think watching some of these guys like Chad Dallas take that step forward, like Sem Roberts take that step forward, is, again, why the Jays felt comfortable moving Gunnar Hoagland when they brought in Matt Chapman. Well,
and even if you take just a 6-month further back step, moving on from Simeon Woods Richardson to bring in Jose Barrios, right? Like, we do have some talented pitching prospects that I think we talked about this on Sunday. All of our best pitchers right now are not in AAA.
No, they're all with the Canadians, really.
Yeah. So if you're on that West Coast, head on down to Nat Bailey Stadium and go watch the Blue Jays of the future while you can. And just in general, it's good baseball. I mean,
and a really great stadium. So very cool. And to answer the question, we're not really sure who we have next from this Blue Jays minor league organization coming up. We are always reaching out to guys. I know that we did touch base with Jordan Groshans earlier in the spring, and he was all for coming back on, but we've got nothing kind of nailed down. Schwicky? What was the?
I think Trevor something, Schwicky or Schwank. I'm
right.
I already feel bad.
Get excited about that, guys.
This
dude, we can't remember whose name it is. Yeah.
Look, when he's winning Rookie of the Year 4 years from now, we'll play this clip and it'll be hilarious. This is just, I guess, kind of the way that goes, though, right? Is these prospects kind of get back to us in waves. You know, we're constantly sending out messages and interview requests, and we don't hear back for 4 months, and then all of a sudden, 7 guys are all like, "Yeah, I have a bunch of free time. Let's do it." You know, and it's like, oh, okay, well, Scott and I have a busy week and a half with 14 interviews, and it's like then we have to kind of parse them out over the next
Yeah.
few months. So, but no, I'm
But
glad you're
we might as
appreciating it.
well
We're
bring
having a lot
up
of fun with it. So,
we might as well bring up while we're talking interviews. I mean, he's not a prospect anymore. We were just talking the catching position, but we are sitting down with Danny Jansen Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. He is locked in and ready to go, which is very exciting to have a member of the Toronto Blue Jays, the starting catcher, when he's not filled with bad tacos. So looking forward to chatting with him for sure. So you could actually get questions in for Danny beforehand. So if you did wish to shoot us a message on Twitter or Instagram, or you're in the Discord, if you're not a member of the Discord, that is always free and it's in the show notes. You can join us there. I know we put up in the coming up on the pod, we've got upcoming guests and an ability for people to kind of send in their questions for them. So we've got that up right now. So yes, if you would like to get a question in for Danny Jansen, we do our best to get as many listener questions in as possible. Feel free to shoot us one of yours.
yeah, very good. If someone is reluctant to add a new social media platform and Discord sounds intimidating, I mean, by all means, comment on this video with your question for Danny.
Yeah.
We're still going to see it. But yeah, Discord is a good place. We're well over 100 people in there now. And Discord's probably the number one thing that is, like, from a selfish standpoint, hurt the growth of our channel the most. Because we'll put up these videos and then, like, no comments on them, and then we go to Discord and there's like a full-on discussion about it, like just 100 comments deep, and it's like, yeah, that probably would have looked good to the YouTube algorithm to seeing people commenting on that video, but whatever.
I kind of love it too, though, that it like creates such
the community is real
in the community,
sure.
Yes.
So we're glad that to have everyone there, and it's fun. We do have a game day chat channel as well, so you know, if you don't have any friends locally that you're chatting Blue Jays with all the time, the Discord's a great place to just kind of pop in and hang out, and that's where you throw your like, hey, Vladdy bomb, or oh my god, did you see that play from Chapman? Live reactions. So that's good there. Okay, next one comes in, hey, from Discord. So this is Joel, aka Falcon, not Joel, aka Hey Kami.
That's funny, aka Falcon. I just thought it was Joel Lacka.
Joel Lacka Falcon.
Joel Lacka Falcon.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm going with aka Falcon, also known as Falcon. So he says, guys, scale of 1 to 10, how awesome was it to have Jeff Blair? It seems so surreal. Big time get for sure. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's very cool. Thank you. It was pretty surreal. So just a little background. And Adam and I were talking about this before we even hit record, right? Is that Jeff Blair just seems to be that Blue Jays analyst that splits the generations, right? The older generation absolutely loves him, reveres him. He has been, following baseball for 30 years now? You know, like, he knows his stuff. But he's like, also that 60-year-old guy, right? Who just, his ways are set. How he perceives the game are set.
Look, 30 years from now, when we're all living in VR headsets, people are going to be talking about Shai Davidi the same way.
Yes.
Right? And he'll just, like, be the one lone holdout who's not in, like, the metaverse. And he's just still writing articles and just doing normal videos. And they're like, this isn't 3D. This is... Anyway.
This old man.
No.
So I just, for whatever reason, fall just perfectly, because I'm old, I guess is why, but I fell perfectly in that realm of really enjoying Jeff Blair. I lived in Toronto for 6 years, and when I was down there, I was working part-time, trying to also, the other part-time income was comedy. This was before I was able to go full-time, and so I was driving a delivery truck downtown Toronto Monday through Friday, and I couldn't wait for the Jeff Blair show and for him to talk Jays. And so, yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to actually sit down and talk to him through a dirty beer mug. So it was great.
Very cool. Well, who knows, Scott? Maybe in 30 years, some youngster out there who's doing skip the dishes or doing an Uber job right now to pay for their college will have the same reverence for you, Mr. Belford. So Let's see how that goes. That's if I could talk you into getting into the whole metaverse and the VR goggles experience. But let me tell you, it felt like a struggle twisting your arm even to having a video component to the podcast.
Oh, I know.
So...
Here it is. We're on YouTube and we're doing quite well on YouTube. And I like when we first started this thing, I was like, we don't have to do YouTube. Let's not do YouTube.
All right. So thanks for that one, Joel. Yeah, and I guess I fit on the other side. I'm right on the other side of that cutoff where like I'm well aware of who Jeff Blair is. A very recognizable name and face. I mean, grew up watching Sportsnet, but the Jeff Blair component was more of like a side piece on another show or whatever, right? And so my reverence for him comes out of just like, you know, my respect for people like you and my older brother who like have such significant value and like are in just awe of him as a sports writer. So I'm like, wow, I respect your judgment. So his must be pretty good then, right? So yeah. All right, so next one, sticking with the Discord here. So we were having a conversation about Ryu and his struggles. Yusei Kikuchi was brought up as well. And then Rezi, simple comment here. Hate that we have to sign players to the extra year to get them to come to Canada.
Rezi nails it, eh?
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth, though? And that is one thing, if you look at these big free agent gets the Jays have managed to pull off over the last couple of years, and it truly is because they have added an extra year to all of these guys. Hyunjin Ryu is a perfect example. He was a guy who was touted as a 3-year dude. This is what everyone else's offers were, and this is why the Blue Jays wound up getting him, as they did go 4 years. And, you know, like all of this panic we're seeing in Blue Jays Nation about Ryu and where he's going to be, and are we going to wind up needing to eat this last year of his contract and all of that, this would all be hearsay, right? This would all be irrelevant. It would all go to the wayside if the Jays were able to convince guys to come for market value, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So we got Ryu for that extra year. Kikuchi, same thing. There is no doubt Kikuchi had all sorts of offers that were 2 years, but the Blue Jays managed to get him because they went 3 years. Probably the biggest get of all was George Springer. And there's no way there's no way that 6th year might not hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a pain, but that is the price the Canadian organization pays, which is
Canada tax for sure.
The Canada tax.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. We got Ryu's in year 3 right now, so we still have him for next year too. Yeah, it's he's not going away.
Yeah.
All right, so next one comes in from Instagram, Patrick. This is funny.
Great comment, by the way, Rezi. Like, just solid.
Just solid. So Patrick on Instagram says, Trevor Bauer, I know we're not allowed to like him. And that made me laugh, by the way. So Trevor Bauer, I know we're not allowed to like him, but he is doing something cool right now. He's offering $2,500 to minor leaguers who do quote-unquote cool shit. And the first recipient was friend of the show, Joshua Palacios. So,
very cool.
Are you familiar with what's going on with Trevor Bauer and these minor leaguers, Scott, or do I need to fill you in? I should just explain it for anybody else
go
who's
ahead
not.
go ahead and
pretend like you know what you're talking about, and then I'll just educate you and everyone else. So Trevor Bauer is not in baseball right now for the obvious reasons. All of his legal and
his scumbaggery, if you will.
His scumbaggery on and off the field, really. But he is offering basically $2,500 to minor leaguers who do a really sick bat flip or a cool celebration or anything that just, as he calls it, makes baseball fun, right? And he handed out the first award, I think, yesterday, and it was for a pretty sweet home run celebration from Joshua Palacios. So, yeah, friend of the show, Josh Palacios, former Blue Jay, got released, I guess DFA'd this year.
Put on waivers.
Picked up by the Nationals.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack here in this comment. First of all, Trevor Bauer, I know we're not allowed to like him. You're allowed to like him, right? He's not a Yankee. I don't know. Like him if you want. I mean, I kind of went back and forth on him too. Like, I do like villains in general. He's
Well, we
taken it
both
too
liked
far.
him. We both liked him before this
Domestic
domestic abuse,
violence and abuse.
violence. Yeah, like
I mean, there's just no place for that anywhere in the world. As far as allowed to like him or not, I'm not gonna like stop talking to someone who happens to like Trevor Bauer. Like, if that's your prerogative, fill your boots. Like, whatever. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm not gonna not invite you over for board games because I know you're a Trevor Bauer fan. So you're allowed to like him, I guess, is where I'll say on that. As far as him offering money to minor leaguers, I think on the one hand that's cool, but again, I'm torn on this because I love it at the big leagues, right? Like Jose Bautista, the big bat flip, love it. I love all the swagger of Juan Soto and the home run jacket for the blue. I mean, there's just a lot of like the fun of baseball.
yeah.
It's a whole new era that we're entering into, and I really like that. But also at my core, I'm a believer in like guys who aren't superstars, just like playing it cool. You know, like if you're, I don't know, act like you've been there before, kind of thing. Like I don't know. For me it gets tiresome to see a guy, and I'm not picking on Josh Palacios. This is just minor leaguers in general. I think should just be more focused on getting good, and then when they get
Then
good and
pimp in
are
their
at the
home
major leagues,
runs.
now let's have some. I mean, like whatever, have some fun along the way. But I
Yeah,
don't
of
want to just
course.
encourage like hot dogging and weird stuff at the minor league level just for the sake of like, I don't know. Am I off base here with this, Scott? Do you agree? I
No,
mean,
I see what you're saying, and I even agree with it to a certain degree. I mean, I do believe that everyone is an individual, and how they celebrate what they accomplish is on them. Um, but yeah, I agree. At least pick your moments, right? Like
yeah,
if you hit a game winning home run, sure, throw the bat, do a little twirl,
yes.
you know, Tiger Woods fist pump it, do your whole thing, right? But if you're hitting a ground rule double in the fourth, I
You
don't
don't want to
know.
see someone
It's
break dancing into second base?
it's like you said, like act like you've done it before, like act like
Yeah.
you've been there, right? And if it's if it's Tim Anderson bat flipping over a double in the majors, that's one thing. But if you're bat flipping a double in the fourth inning in double A, but I'm just sounding like an old man now. Even as I say these
Yeah,
words, I'm
I
like,
know.
oh
It's weird,
God, am I
isn't it?
that guy now?
I
Frick.
know. Look at us. I guess side note tangent. You're familiar with the Savannah Bananas?
Yes.
Okay, so that's like the exception. Like they're not in
Yeah.
affiliate baseball though, right?
No, that's college.
So okay, anybody who's not familiar with the Savannah Bananas, just Google it or YouTube it or look them up on TikTok. But they're always doing like crazy shit and
Fun
dancing and
things. Yeah.
coming up to the plate with like weird intros, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun, and it's entertaining for a whole like different reason, and that's I am in favor of that. I think that's fun, and that's good baseball. But yeah, all right, let's move on from that. Do you have anything else to add about Trevor Bauer and all of that?
Just that one thing that stood out to me when we talked to Haggy D, Hagen Danner on the 40-man roster for the Blue Jays, playing in Double A currently, is he just very casually, when we were talking about why the balls are slipperier or more slippery in low A and high A, Adam said, "Is it a money thing?" And Haggy went, "Oh God, I don't know. Probably. I only make 12,000 a year, so." I bring that up because $2,500 to these guys, I mean,
A
in a
lot.
situation like Haggy D, I mean, all of a sudden, Trevor Bauer is giving him a 20% raise
Yeah.
for the year. So that's kind of cool. I just
Yeah.
wish it wasn't Trevor Bauer doing it.
I know.
Can somebody else do this? 2,500 isn't that much. George
Hey,
Springer, perhaps.
look, I'll say this right now. If we get enough Patreon support where I don't have to get a job at Best Buy, if we can get $2,500 above and beyond me not working at Best Buy, we can start supporting minor leaguers, Scott. Does that sound good to you?
That's right.
All right.
I love this.
All right. All right. Last one of the day here. This one comes in on Instagram from Jenna. So she says, we all know the brutal schedule the Jays have over the next 2 weeks and beyond, if we're being honest. But the Red Sox have a worse schedule. The Blue Jays get to play the Red Sox, whereas the Red Sox have to play the Blue Jays. So I love that positivity there. That's great. And then she goes on to say the Rays have a medium schedule, but the Rays are good, so they'll probably get some good wins over the next 2 weeks. But she points out, look at the soft Yankees schedule. And she says, be prepared for insufferable Yankees fans at the end of the 2 weeks from now. So the Yankees' next 2 weeks of games are against the Tigers, the Guardians, the Orioles, and the Royals. Whereas the Jays have Red Sox, Astros, Red Sox, Astros.
Yankees.
And Yankees at the end of that. So, I mean, yeah, those are 14 very winnable games from the Yankees. That being said, they did just lose 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. So there's no easy wins in baseball, we should be reminded of.
And the Tigers and Twins are kind of sneaky. I wouldn't say good this year, but they're not to be overlooked. Both of these teams, I think, have the ability to go in and take 2 of 3 from the Yankees and surprise them. The Yankees are 5-5 right now, and they haven't looked great.
They haven't looked great, but I think this is a good point from Jenna, and we should prepare all Blue Jays fans that over the next 2 weeks, like if we go 500, that's not the end of the world, right? If we go an 8-8 record or a 7-7 record over the next 2 weeks, Yankees have a good chance of going 10-4 or 11-3 with the schedule they have, right? So if they are 5 or 6 games ahead of us, we're gonna feel it can feel doom and gloom, like, oh god, here we go. But it is just, I think, an important point to keep that in perspective, that like the weight of the schedule is worth noting, especially when everybody hasn't played everybody yet, so we'll reevaluate in June, but for now I think let's just grind it out and not fall too far behind. So that's all I got, Scott.
Okay. Can't agree more with you there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for all the interaction, getting a hold of us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast. The Instagram is the Walk Off Podcast. Discord, always, we comb through that for all of your questions and comments, so we appreciate how active it is there. I mean, Discord gets so active that trying to pick any one thing almost becomes impossible. So if we don't give Discord enough attention, our apologies. We're active in it as well. So we see how much the content gets flipped over real quick there. And then, of course, we comb through the YouTube. We really do appreciate all of you who have hit subscribe. We're very, very close to 3,000 subscribers on our YouTube page currently. So if you haven't given us that subscribe, we'd love it if you did. Appreciate all the likes and comments. Thank you so very much. Just a quick reminder, it is Tuesday, so we are going to be live streaming the game on, what is it, 7 Eastern?
7 Eastern, yeah, 7:07 Eastern.
Kicking off this Red Sox series. It'll be Joel, Haycomi, and I. Adam is
dad duties.
A good dad. Yeah,
dad duties. Kid has hockey, so got to take her to that.
Daughter off to hockey, yes, sir.
I'll be back with you next week, so.
All right, well, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Take care. Cheers.